Today, we're going over the darkest, weirdest, and most deeply unsettling secrets of famous historical figures. Benjamin Franklin, the basement of bones and air baths. It's 1998 in London, England. A group of construction workers are renovating a beautiful historic townhouse located at 36 Craven Street. This isn't just any house. This was the official residence of Benjamin Franklin, the legendary American founding father, the guy on the $100 bill, and the man who discovered electricity. The workers are digging up the dirt floor in the dark, creepy basement when their shovels hit something hard. They brush away the dirt and find a skull. They keep digging. They find another skull, and another, and thigh bones, and rib cages. The police are immediately called in. They excavate the entire basement and end up pulling out over 1,200 pieces of human bone belonging to at least 15 different bodies, including several children. For a brief, terrifying moment, modern historians literally thought Benjamin Franklin was an 18th century serial killer who was burying his victims directly under his living room. But the truth is actually just incredibly gross. Franklin wasn't a murderer. He was just letting his good friend, a guy named William Hewson, run an illegal underground anatomy school in his basement. Back in the 1700s, it was highly illegal to dissect human bodies for medical science. The only way to get bodies was to hire professional grave robbers to sneak into cemeteries at midnight, dig up fresh corpses, and smuggle them through the back alley into Benjamin Franklin's basement. Franklin absolutely knew this was happening. He was basically the landlord for an illegal chop shop for dead bodies right in the middle of London. But Franklin's weirdness didn't stop at basement skeletons. He was also a massive advocate for something he called air baths. Franklin believed that wearing clothes all the time made you sick, so every single morning, regardless of the weather, he would open all the windows in his house, strip completely, 100% naked, and just sit in front of the open window for an hour. He would read books, write letters, and literally play the violin in his birthday suit, completely visible to anyone walking down the street. Imagine being a British nobleman walking to work and looking up to see one of the greatest political minds of the century just airing it all out in the morning breeze. Sigmund Freud, the medical cocaine disaster. Sigmund Freud is the ultimate father of modern psychology. He is the guy who mapped the human subconscious, invented psychoanalysis, and is universally recognized as one of the most brilliant medical minds in history. We usually picture him as an older, serious man with a cigar, sitting in a leather chair, analyzing people's dreams. But long before he was famous for psychology, a young Sigmund Freud had a massive, deeply terrifying obsession. In the 1880s, Freud discovered a brand new, highly experimental chemical compound, cocaine. And he didn't just casually research it, he completely fell in love with it. He started taking massive doses of it himself, claiming it cured his depression and gave him infinite energy. He genuinely believed he had discovered a literal miracle drug that could cure absolutely any human disease. Freud was so obsessed that he wrote a massive, glowing scientific paper about it called Uber Coca. He essentially acted like an 1800s drug dealer in a lab coat, aggressively prescribing it to his patients, handing it out to his friends, and even mailing care packages of the drug to his fiancée with romantic letters. But this is where the story gets incredibly dark. Freud's good friend, a brilliant doctor named Ernst von Fleischl-Marxois, was suffering from a severe addiction to morphine. Freud confidently stepped in and said, "Don't worry, I have the perfect cure. Just take this cocaine instead." Unsurprisingly, it did not cure him. Instead, Freud accidentally gave his friend one of the worst, most catastrophic cases of cocaine psychosis in recorded medical history. Ernst spent his final days in absolute agony, hallucinating that terrifying bugs were crawling around underneath his skin until he eventually died. Freud realized he had made a colossal, fatal mistake. So, what did the greatest psychologist in history do? He basically panicked, swept the entire disaster under the rug, stopped talking about the drug publicly, and spent the rest of his legendary career desperately hoping nobody would remember his miracle cure phase. William Lyon Mackenzie King, the ghost-whispering Prime Minister. William Lyon Mackenzie King is a legendary historical figure in Canada. He's the longest-serving Prime Minister in Canadian history, ruling the country for a staggering 22 years. He successfully guided the nation through the horrors of the Great Depression and the entirety of World War II. In public, he was the ultimate stereotypical politician. He was incredibly boring, highly practical, wore plain suits, and gave very dull, standard speeches. He was the definition of vanilla. But when the doors to his private residence closed, the Prime Minister of Canada was running the country using a crystal ball. In absolute terrifying secrecy, King was a hardcore, obsessed spiritualist. He believed that the physical world was constantly interacting with the spirit realm. So before he made any massive national decisions, passed any laws, or finalized war strategies, he would hold secret seances in his mansion to ask ghosts for political advice. He had a regular rotating cast of spirits that he consulted. He would talk to the ghost of former Prime Minister Wilfrid Laurier for policy tips. He would consult the ghost of Leonardo da Vinci. He even claimed to have deep, meaningful conversations with the ghost of former U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt. But his absolute most trusted advisor? His dead dogs. King owned a series of Irish Terriers all named Pat. He was completely obsessed with them. When Pat died, King used a Ouija board and psychics to continue communicating with the dog from beyond the grave. He genuinely believed his dead terriers were angelic messengers sent by God to give him instructions on how to govern the country. He kept this an absolute ironclad secret his entire life. The Canadian public had absolutely no idea until his highly classified private diaries were discovered after he died. The citizens of a major global superpower suddenly realized that for 22 years, their national budget, their foreign policy, and their World War II military strategies were being heavily influenced by a guy talking to the ghost of a terrier named Pat. Hey, just want to say thanks for watching. We'll be back next week telling more epic stories from history.